I'm attempting to break a YouTube rule, and I want to fix a video that I have already uploaded. Earlier this year, the solar eclipse passed over my home state of Utah, and while I heard that over 200,000 people were expected to be camping in every nook and cranny, I thought I had a viral video on my hands. Well, after viewing the eclipse for myself and then cutting the videos together from that trip, I realized it was a flop. And after publishing, I was reassured that it was a flop by the lack of views. So, this is my do-over. Rather than focusing on the eclipse as a main character, I want to show you an overland trip through Utah from the eyes of a local. I'm Justin B. McBride, and this is Local Lander, Episode 2. Local Lander is my weekly series adventuring within 12 hours of my home base of Salt Lake City. I don't consider myself a full-blown overlander, but I'm playing by some of the same rules, just closer to home. So, I'm a local lander, and if that sounds like you, then this is an excellent time to hit the subscribe button. So, while hordes of people were gathering in southern Utah, I was enjoying an anniversary and birthday vacation in Hawaii. Stress was at an all-time low. We zoomed over the Nepali coast in a helicopter, we swam with turtles, and we would just sit and watch the tide. It was everything you want from a low-stress vacation. Meanwhile, back in southern Utah, Rob from Revere Overland had spent those exact same days rushing from his house in Kentucky to the Mexican Hat area on the Utah and Arizona border in hopes of finding the perfect eclipse viewing spot. Just as you would expect, gobs of people were camping everywhere. Every conceivable camp spot, from the designated ones to just a spot off the side of the road, was taken, which meant to find seclusion, Rob would need to find a trail that the average sedan would be hesitant to go down. Gaining elevation and ultimately finding a route in BLM land atop a plateau, he and Andreas, in the Tacoma, found a spot that would barely fit the 4 vehicles that would make it in time for the eclipse. While I was flying home from Hawaii, Jevin Dovey, who you might know from his creator and camera gear focused channel, had also left his home in Southern California to meet up with us. Jevin made really good time and was passing through Monument Valley soon after Rob had camp set up and was able to meet up with that group well before I had even landed in Salt Lake. While they enjoyed the sunset and watched over the cliff as even more crowds gathered below to view the eclipse, I rushed south from Salt Lake and made it just in time to set up a time lapse and get some shut-eye around 2 a.m. If you've been keeping up with overland and camping gadgets, this has undoubtedly come up. It is a propane fire pit that claims to be as warm as a small campfire and should be perfect for 4 people. With a price tag of $1,300, yes, I said $1,300, I have been pretty vocal on how unsure I am of this making a home in the market with so many much cheaper alternatives. But they sent me this one to test out in an attempt to change my mind, so we'll be using it on this trip to see if it is, in fact, worth that $1,300 price tag. Even if the eclipse wasn't happening, this area of Utah is stunning. With layers of buttes, plateaus, monuments, and even alpine mountains in the distance, the Mexican Hat and Monument Valley formations are some of the most stunning on the planet. big reason I'm releasing this video as a longer video is to give you more insight into what a trip like this actually looks like, along with all of the camera and camping gear that we use to make a trip and video like this a success. Today is a special day. We're out here in the Utah desert and we're trying to capture the solar eclipse. I'm not very good at this stuff, so I have gotten a 600mm zoom lens that should help make it a little easier because the sun's pretty far away. With the rented lens attached to my Peak Design base plate and tripod, it was easy to get my camera pointed towards the sun. The 100,000 ND filter helped ensure we could see the sun without melting my camera's sensor. With a few test shots showing a little bit of camera shake, I turned on image stabilization and we were ready for the moon to enter the scene. I've sped this footage up and I have to say that watching the sun and the moon slowly meet in real time didn't feel as magical as this clip makes it feel. It was a lot of watching the camera to ensure that I had everything lined up, and then checking with solar glasses to see what the real progress of the eclipse actually was in real time. I feel like a lot of the grandeur was actually anticipation for this clip to be sped up. So you're experiencing what I was hoping to experience while I was watching the eclipse. Unlike a total eclipse, the annular eclipse won't completely black out the areas that have a totality view. Instead, it creates a ring of fire as sunlight bends around the moon, and you get this effect. All that was visibly noticeable to the naked eye was that the light grew soft, and to me, it had a bit of a purple hue. Apart from the visible effects of the eclipse, the temperature dropped significantly. As the sun and moon drifted apart again, we slowly started to break camp. The Go Fast camper has treated me very well since I put it on last year, and while I think that there are plenty of things I would change, I'm still really happy with it. And as a Go Fast ambassador, I have to say that I feel even more lucky that I got to use the gray fabric instead of the yellow that they make all of the other ambassadors use. It is a much more enjoyable experience with this neutral fabric. I have let the Howl cool down for about an hour at this point, and it is completely cool to the touch and easy to handle without any fear of getting burned. I have found that strapping it with a front runner Stratchet to my Underland Molly panel inside of the Go Fast camper works really well. And one of my favorite features of the Howl is that the 20-pound propane tank straps into the void in between the legs. I know that the guys at Howl get asked all the time about why it doesn't have folding legs. And as they told me, it has to pass a specific drop test to receive the ANSI certification. The folding legs just wouldn't pass that test. So they accepted the design challenge and found a home for your propane tank, which I think is a pretty cool trick, especially on a fire pit that you can use during fire bans. If you're watching this right now and wishing you had an AT Habitat with all of that available space on your 5.5-foot bed truck, I have good news for you. Rob is currently selling his. Yes, this exact one that you're looking at right now is for sale. I don't have all of the details, but you can reach out to Rob on his Instagram or his Patreon and get some answers on how to make this one yours. Plus, I'm pretty sure he's offering a steep discount. When you do reach out to him, feel free to tell him that I sent you and that I deserve a finder's fee. Let's see how he reacts to that. While I know that there are other Overland Gladiators that have much more livable campers than mine, I'm very happy with my deck drawers. I know they eat up a lot of space, but with their new single drawer system being delivered soon, I'll be able to tell you which of the two I prefer. On top of my deck drawers, I have a 55-liter Dometic fridge that is sitting inside of the Alucab tilting fridge slide. This is a solid combination and it makes a quick lunch like this very easy. As for my dry food, I keep it in a Step 22 Stingray softbox. I have been using these for years now, and I'm always surprised that I don't see more of them all over the place. And like everything else, they're linked in the description and 100% worth looking into for yourself, or now that we're into the holiday giving season, maybe for someone else. To avoid getting caught in the post-eclipse traffic, we decided to take a few minutes and have a quick lunch. I messed up while making this sandwich. I didn't add Doritos. Big mistake. And if you have yet to try that, it is time to hit your local grocery store and give it a go. It is one of the best ways to enjoy a home, or in this case, a camp-made deli sandwich. Just as you're assembling the sandwich, add some Doritos on there. Give you a little bit of crunch, a little bit of extra flavor. I messed up. I didn't do it this time. We have explored Onyx Off-Road, and I think we have found a route out of here. So I've got to back up this trail because there's only one way in, and we're going to find a way out that isn't with the rest of the traffic. All right, let's see if I can find my way out of here. I drove in last night at 1 a.m. So I'm kind of guessing my way away from here. I want to give a big shout out to Onyx Off-Road. While they aren't the sponsor of this video, they are a sponsor of my channel, and they have been for quite a while now. Because I talk about them so much, I feel like many of you tune out when I bring their name up. So before you tune out, I want you to know that this is a perfect example of using their app in real time. We needed to start making our way north, but we didn't quite have a route picked out. All we knew is that we wanted something off highway so we could avoid all of the traffic. So we pulled open Onyx and within a few minutes found an 18-mile trail with a low rating, which means that we could drive it pretty quickly and it would dodge a fair portion of that highway traffic. Onyx Off-Road is seriously easy to use, and like all of the gear that I use, I have added a link to it in the video description so that you can try it for yourself. At the trailhead of our newly selected trail, we decided to air down. By removing air pressure from our tires, we will have better traction, which on this dirt road isn't as important as the other perk of airing down, which is a softer ride. For simple, flat, washboard roads like this, I air these 37-inch Falcon RTs down to about 17 psi, making the ride much more comfortable. And with these TerraFlex wheels, I can have all 4 tires aired down in the time it takes me to walk around the truck twice, which removes any chore associated with airing down. While I was making easy work of airing down, Rob, however, ran into an issue while airing down his tires.
Don't know what's wrong with it, so we'll troubleshoot until we figure it out. Good thing is, right before this trip, we started selling these on RevereOverland.com, so I bought one. It's like a sidewall patch kit, and that's usually how I end up having problems. But it comes with Colby valves. So worst case scenario, shove one of these in, and we'll be good.
We can't tell if it's the valve core or if it's the actual valve stem. So we're working on troubleshooting that right now. We were just airing down to head down this, and it was funny because Rob even said he doesn't need to air down. He's a Toyota, and now the Toyota's automatically trying to air down. Pulling the core out proved to be more difficult than expected, even with the ARB valve core deflator tool. This told us that this core was definitely malfunctioning.
There we go. So yeah, you can see the difference there between the two. Let's put the new one in. Which is easier said than done with the air coming out like this. I might have to just wait until all the air is out. Yeah, let me see that too. Yeah, you can put it in there. I did it. This is the little thing you push in. Oh, you can see on the core, this is the little thing you push in to let the air out, and it's just stuck in. So that's why the air was coming out. So thankfully that was it, simple fix.
With the valve core replaced, we were all ready to roll. After returning home from this trip, Rob did a little troubleshooting and determined that the balancing beads that he used caused this issue. As much as I hate weights glued to my wheel, this is a lesson learned that could have been a more significant issue had it happened to more than one tire. Our selected route was far less crowded than the highway. While we did see the occasional tent, camper, or van, it was a quick and easy route north. I get asked all the time if I have had any issues with my EcoDiesel Gladiator, and to this day, the only real problem I have had has been the small engine air filter and intake. In an upcoming video where Rob and I attempt the Pony Express Trail, my air filter clogged so severely that my fuel economy dropped to single-digit miles per gallon. Because I hadn't gotten my snorkel on yet, I was lucky enough to lead this trail and avoid sucking in all the dust and crud that was being kicked up by the convoy. Since that Pony Express trip, Rob and I have both learned to carry spare air filters, which you may want to consider if you are regularly on dusty trails like this one. This road north follows a massive rock reef, and while looking at it from the driver's seat doesn't give it much perspective, the view from the reef down to the road makes us look like ants. After winding our way to the north exit of the trail, it was time to air back up. As much as all of us Overland YouTubers will tell you how important it is to air down, I don't think we talk enough about airing up. I have the perfect solution if you are a Jeep JL or Gladiator owner. It's called the Kraken. It's a mounting bracket and hose system designed to work with the ARB twin compressor. It mounts nicely under the passenger seat and plumbs an additional air chuck to the driver's side so you can inflate all 4 of your tires simultaneously. Mine has the additional ARB Bluetooth connection, so I simply connect my hoses and turn on the compressor, and it will automatically shut off when it hits my desired pressure, which in this case is 37 psi. Even Jevin has the Kraken in his Gladiator. It is the best air compressor mount that I know of for the Jeep, and again, like everything I use, it's linked in this video's description. Now that everyone is aired up, we have found ourselves on a different route than the rest of the Eclipse traffic, so it's just a simple highway drive north for a few hours. Stopping at Jackass Joe's north of Moab in Crescent Junction, we meet up with Danny. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll recognize Danny. He was on my last big trip that I did with Cool Rick, my Wrangler, and then he was on one of my last big trips I did in Big Sur with Major Tom, my 2-door Bronco. Before I set out on this trip, Onyx challenged me to find a ghost town with their app, and I ended up finding Sago, which is just north of Jackass Joe's and will be our destination for the night. It is only about a 30-minute jaunt to Sago from where we met up with Danny. Leaving the old gas station, the drive winds through a canyon and follows an old railroad route. Passing old railroad bridges and even driving through an old railroad corridor, we can see Sago in the distance. But, just like everything else this weekend, somebody is already camping where we want to be. If it were just Rob and me, we likely would have asked to join them and probably would have made some new adventure friends. But since we have myself, Rob, Andreas, Jevin, and now Danny, there is no way we could fit the 5 of us and that couple in the troopy that was already there. So we kept scouting ahead. Because Rob already had the drone in the air, he flew ahead to find us a camp spot, and from the air, it looked like we had a winner. But as I pulled the Gladiator in, it was clear we had been deceived. The loop was on a steep incline, and 2 large boulders bordering the trail would surely stop his Tundra from fitting. Turning again to Onyx Off-Road, we could see that the trail ended at what looked like a giant horse corral, so we flipped on all of our off-road lights and made our way up the trail, hoping for a camp spot. As we're driving here, I want to talk about amber versus white lights. I've done a comparison like this before, but a lot of the internet comments didn't like that my white lights were on my roof rack, claiming that they changed the results. So now that I have 2 sets of lights in my bumper, I can show you the visual experience between white and amber. The benefit of amber light is often credited as cutting through dust and particles, and this is mainly because it is the easiest way to describe that visual experience. While the experience feels like there is less splashback with amber lenses, which is the intended optical illusion, the proper explanation is slightly different. Much like blue blocker glasses, the amber lens lightens the workload on your eyes and helps you visually discern contrast in trail conditions. So, as rain, dust, or snow cross your path, the warmer temperature light will increase contrast visibility by lightening visual workload. This is the exact effect of using a red or very low near 1000 degree Kelvin headlamp at camp. The lower the Kelvin of your light bar's front element, the lower the strain on your eyes, but the trade-off is lower output. Personally, I prefer even more amber to my lights. The selective yellow from Baja Designs does a good job, as you can see, but they are trying to preserve intensity for high-speed travel. As a local lander, my night speed isn't at a racer's pace, and having more orange than yellow in my light will help even more with snow, dust, and rain on the trails. As the trail continues, it starts to climb. Radio chatter is sparse as we are all weaving in and out of tight corners and switchbacks, and the only accurate indicator that we have yet to find camp is the glow of headlights moving ahead. Eventually, we find the end of the trail, and luckily, nobody was there.
We found a spot. We found a spot at the top of the mountain. But it smells like poop. This is where they tie up horses. So I mean, guys, it's everywhere. Yeah, it's going to be everywhere. Everywhere that they ride.
Well, he was saying those ties that you see over there? That's what
Yeah, here's a tie up here. What about going north? We did it. Oh, man. It's not near the ghost town, which is a bummer, because we would have probably been eating already. Just right in the middle, guys. This is good. Man, feels good. Guys, it's not bad over here. This is grass. Here we go. The wagons are mostly circled.
Starfished.
It'll work.
Modern wagon.
Yeah. Modern wagon circle. Whatever.
Setting up camp tonight, I brought another new toy to play with, the Goal Zero Skylight. It comes in a large plastic tube, it looks like a bazooka, and it takes up a ton of space. And it costs $300. It also doesn't run long enough on its internal battery and is better used with something like the Goal Zero 500X, making it an $800 light after that $500 battery. When set up, it will light up most of the camp though. But compared to the Devos Light Ranger's offerings, which is my usual light on a stick solution, the Goal Zero, it isn't worth it. You can spend half as much and get 2 lights that are far more portable and they're self-powered. It just seems like Goal Zero missed the mark on this one. You can see that Jevin and Rob are still using their Light Rangers even with the Goal Zero Skylight setup. With winter upon us, setting up camp in the dark is inevitable, so I have included a link to both the Light Ranger and the Goal Zero Skylight in the description so you can check them out for yourself and see which one might be right for you. You're likely to disagree with me on the Goal Zero, but that's fine. Links in the description for you. With tents pitched, it's time for heat, which means the Howl is making an appearance again. This video is genuinely the first time that I have ever used the Howl, and this second night is only the second time that I have ever set it up. Truthfully, it is easy. It has one flaw though, which I think is a cop-out from the designers, but it doesn't have an internal ignition. So you still need a barbecue-style lighter to ignite it. Now they say that they did this so that you will always have proper fire-building tools in the wild. However, I think that they forgot to add an ignition and came up with that answer after the fact. Ultimately, it's a $1,300 fire pit that you still need a $2 lighter to ignite. Doesn't seem right to me, especially when you lose your lighter. All of that aside, the Howl, it does have fire, but that's more of like a community thing. The real heat source is the bark hole on the side. These tubes have fins inside that turbulate the air and fuel to mix them for a near perfect chemical reaction and produce as much heat as possible. The heat, seen as red to our eyes, is the same infrared heat that a wood-burning campfire produces. It is very comfortable and actually feels like a fire. Not a big fire, but at least like a 2-log fire. The Howl wasn't the only thing rumbling. My stomach was aching. I hadn't eaten since that sandwich after the eclipse, and I was starving. Tonight, I'm cooking on the partner stove. Again, another piece of overpriced Overland camp gear. I got this when I thought that I'd be putting a goose gear system in my Wrangler, and I haven't been able to part with it ever since. It's just a great stove. I will say, though, that there are far better and cheaper options out there. This is just one of those things that I spent the money on it, and I can't bring myself to get rid of it. Raw chicken likely has some of you reeling. I get that. I've since purchased a sous vide and will be pre-cooking and vacuum sealing all of my meat to avoid cooking anything raw like we are tonight. But by searing the chicken and then butterflying it down into fourths, I know I can hit my target of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. If you aren't carrying a simple meat thermometer while you're camping, I highly recommend that you do. Nobody wants the runs in the middle of the night just because they ate undercooked meat. With the chicken cooked, it's time to build out my soft tacos. Returning to the Howl, it has become the centerpiece of camp, and I have to say, it's kind of growing on me. If it were between $600 and $800, I would 100% splurge and get one, but I'd still feel apprehensive doing so. So that $1,300 price tag is very complicated to justify, but I'm still trying to. Danny isn't convinced either and believes that his $150 backyard fire pit can stand up to the Howl in a head-to-head challenge. As the night progressed, however, we all continued to gather around the bark hole of the Howl, while his fire pit just added an extra layer of ambiance.
Okay, so that fire pit it's really nice. We've got it set up next to a traditional propane fire pit, and it is putting off significantly more heat. And I'd much rather stand next to the Howl because it's keeping me warm on this cold night. I don't know if it's as much heat as a normal fire. Maybe a small normal fire, but it's making my legs nice and hot. I don't think it's worth $1,300 though. I certainly would not pay that.
And the stars are beautiful, so I'm gonna go with that. We'll go check out the ghost town in the morning. I'm gonna call it a night. The Howl has been keeping us quite warm, so I don't know, it might be convincing me. Not sure yet. Let's go to bed.
As morning breaks, it is easy to say that we weren't expecting alpine hills and fall colors. Breathtaking views, truly breathtaking. We were all pretty tired and moving pretty slowly this morning. With no clear plan for the rest of the day, we knew our only real goal was to explore around Sago before coming up with where we wanted to sleep tonight.
Another morning is upon us. Time to pack up, and we'll go check out that ghost town. Kind of bummed that we didn't get to camp at the ghost town, but this spot, spectacular. We got layers on layers with mountains, all the fall colors. And it's just been kind of an easy morning, hanging out, chilling by the howl. The thing's growing on me, I hate to say, because I hate the price tag on it. But everything else I kind of like about it. So I'm gonna get packed up, and then we're gonna get rolling. If you haven't caught on yet, I have a love-hate relationship with the Goal Zero skylight. I love it when it's set up. It really casts a lot of light, and it's a comfortable light. But I hate the case it packs in. I hate carrying a second battery, and I hate putting this thing away. It is all so awkward. And while I debated cutting this struggle out of the video entirely, I decided to leave it in to truly represent the reality of my relationship with this product. So the howl needs to cool down before we can go. Other than that, I'm packed up and ready. So I'm just giving it a minute. They say it takes about 15 minutes to cool down. Probably at about 10 minutes so far. I can get pretty close, but I don't want to touch it just yet. So, not bad. All right, we've been sitting here for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. It's ready to pack up. So there you go. I'm all packed up. Now we're just waiting on Danny. Hey Danny, are you done yet? That's a no. We're ready to go. We've done it. Oh, let's climb in here. Got stuff on all my seats. Here we go. That's a good little camp spot. Would have preferred to camp at the ghost town, but take what you're given. Driving the trail out felt like we were in a completely different location. The 360-degree views that swept around us as we descended the ridge back into the canyon were invisible last night under cover of night, and fall colors greeted us around every corner.
was only a short time before we reached Sago. That couple that was in the Troopy last night, they were long gone, and we had the place to ourselves to explore.
Here we are at the prime real estate in Sago. This house used to be standing. When I was researching this area, I know that this house was standing. There were really cool shots through a window at the stone structure, but looks like Mother Nature has done what she does, and now it's just a pile of rubble. And I think Rob might have found his next car. Let's go check that out. It always fascinates me that people would up and leave their house and even their car when leaving what will eventually become a ghost town. Like just completely abandon it. I mean, there's even a fridge, or what was once a fridge, the shell of a fridge, it's hanging out in the bushes. Ghost towns are so bonkers to me, to just walk away.
During this trip, Jevin was testing out a new piece of camera gear, the Osmo Pocket 3. And while I haven't really played with one myself yet, there are a lot of Osmo Pocket 3 shots sprinkled into this video alongside my $5,000 Sony setup, and you probably haven't even noticed which are which. Should you consider yourself a budding content creator, I highly recommend you look at this camera. I have put a link to it in the description, as well as a link to Jevin's channel, where you can learn even more about it and all of the other creator tools that we all use.
There appear to be trails out around this building, remnants of another structure of some kind. It just amazes me that you spend all this time building out, a small society, and then just walk away from it. I don't know if there's anything more back here than this little side building. Maybe I'm looking for like a mine shaft or something, tailings, something to show why they would put it right here.
There's very little left to show of Sago, and with just a few stone structures remaining, the town has no real understandable story of why it existed. When I got home, I decided to dig a little bit further into Sago and learned that it was, in fact, a mining town, and it mined coal to help the railroad reach Denver. It wasn't around for too long and eventually was abandoned after the cost of mining the coal outweighed the lowering prices of coal. Ultimately, the last residents left following a fire, and the town was never populated after that. Before jumping back into the truck to leave Sago, I made a friend. Well, I thought we could be friends, but the snake disagreed, and it slithered back into the bushes. Rolling back onto the pavement, we pointed the convoy towards one of my all-time favorite camp spots, and it wasn't long before we were at another trailhead, airing down our tires again.
Everything out here has been absolutely slammed, just super busy. It is Sunday, so we're hoping most people have left and vacated the good camp spots at the end of this trail. We'll find out together.
The spot we're heading for tonight has become extremely popular over the last few years, and I swear I see a new post on Instagram about it every day. I even hesitated to publish this video that you're watching because it's just so overcrowded and a spot that I likely won't return to for a while. Since there were hundreds of thousands of people in the southern Utah desert this weekend, I really didn't have high hopes for getting the prime camp spot on the cliff edge, but we were here and we were going to go for it anyway. With another dust cloud forming, I was, again, the lucky one leading the group, giving me some of the best views of this barren landscape. I can't say what fate shined on us as we pulled up to camp, but the only person there was this white van, which was hundreds of yards from the spot everyone dreams of getting.
We have gotten lucky again. Everybody just rolled out of here. Long old line of cars as we were pulling up. So we got the good spot. That's awesome. This brings me so much joy. I cannot wait to use that as my office today.
One of my favorite things about a trip like this is getting to play with all of the toys on my truck. This awning is from Rome Adventure Co., and I have to say I'm a bit of an awning snob. And while this one is similar to other Chinese awnings, it isn't exactly a one-off, it has one key difference. It doesn't need the legs. Yes, it has legs, but as long as there is only as much as a breeze, it will remain freestanding without needing to use them. Since this trip, I have used this awning in some of the worst rain that I have ever experienced, and I am excited to say that not only is it a great shade structure, like I'm using it for today, it is also a great shelter from torrential Canadian, British Columbia, just the wettest of wet, heavy of heavy, torrential rains. Now, can you guess what I'm going to say next? That's right, there is a link to this awning in the description for you, like everything else I use. So a big reason that we wanted to get to camp early is so that we could get some work done. I have been filming non-stop since I left for Hawaii over a week ago, came home, literally landed in Salt Lake, packed up the Jeep, and drove south for the eclipse. So I have every card of mine is basically full. So I've got to empty time lapses, drones, this camera, all of my stuff. So I've got my trusty MacBook Air with me. If you have not used the 13-inch or even the new 15-inch MacBook Air, the M2 MacBook Air is bonkers. I no longer carry my MacBook Pro with me. And then I've got a Thunderbolt drive and an SD card reader, so it's time to start offloading a bunch of footage. As we pulled into camp and started setting up tents, I sent a message on my private Discord server to my Overland tier YouTube members. I was telling them where we were camping, and I opened the invite for them to join us. And Joe, who drives the Mazda from the last video, made his way out to enjoy a night on the cliffs with us. I've been sitting up here for the last few hours working, and I'm done. I've offloaded all of my footage. It was a solid like 2 terabytes from the last 2 weeks between A7S III, my time lapses, drone, everything. So now that that is freed up, I feel like my camera's a little lighter. But now it's just time to kind of enjoy the sunset. I'll probably start making dinner in the next hour or so. I love this spot, man. The light just hits different out here. It is so spectacular. So I want to show you who we have with us here. We've got Jevin. He's out flying a drone.
What's up?
Here he is.
Hi, I'm droning.
And then we've got Danny, who's phoning.
Yo.
And Andreas, who's also phoning.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then Joe.
Hi.
You guys remember Joe? He was in a video, I don't know, 5 videos ago? How many videos do I make? And then who else is here? Rob! Roberto, say hello. He's also gonna be droning. Maybe I should fly my drone. Jeez. Or be on my phone. It's like all anybody's doing right now. If you are interested in learning where these routes are, or if you want to camp with me, all while helping support the channel to make more videos like this, please consider hitting the join button under this video to unlock those perks and even more. As the sun fell, we opted to give an analog fire a try tonight. The Howl has been pretty convincing, but this bundle of firewood only cost us $25, and it should put off even more heat than the Howl does. No matter how many comments I receive about moving the rod and not the striker, I will always forget and move the striker. So I'm sorry, internet experts. I've let you down yet again. As cool and as expensive as the Howl campfire is, there is something special about this fire starter kit from Bigfoot Bushcraft. I no longer worry about carrying matches or even starting a fire in the rain or wind because these fire starters are rain and wind proof. I bought a bag of these fire starters back in 2021 and I haven't needed to order a refill yet. And with how much I camp and build fires, I think that's saying a lot. And you know where to find these. I feel like I shouldn't even say it at this point, but I will. There is a link in the description.
And it was windy. Like, this is perfect. This is crazy. I've never had it this still in my life. Yeah, everyone that I've talked to that comes here is always like, it's so windy. There you go.
I was gonna make dinner. We ate burgers before we came in here. I'm just not hungry right now. So I think we're just gonna chill around the real fire, burn up all the wood, and if we have to, we've got the Howl we can throw up too.
All right, it's off to bed. As 4 a.m. hit, I heard Jevin pack up his Jeep and roll out. He has a shoot back in LA and needs to make the entire drive home today to make it in time for his shoot. Now, not long after Jevin left, I heard somebody walking around my truck. And I don't mean like out in the distance, I mean right by my truck. It's 4:05 in the morning, and Jevin just left, so who could it be? I crawl out of bed and I peek out the back of the camper. It looks like a photographer light painting the scene. It's a bit odd. It would have been nice had he approached us the night before and asked if he could sneak into our camp. Then again, he's just taking pictures, so no harm, right? All right, back to bed for me. So he wasn't just taking pictures, he was staking a claim for the sunrise. This guy left a tripod set up in front of my time-lapse camera and had the nerve to place a second one down on the rock pedestal where everyone loves to get a landscape selfie. I have seen this spot get crowded, but I have never before seen anyone this selfish take over the spot. I climbed out of bed just before the sun broke on the horizon and was surprised to see that this guy had left camera equipment so close to me in our camp and in the frame of my time-lapse. Again, it's public land, so I have no real control here. But there is a level of etiquette that this guy has blatantly ignored. I brushed it off and I set up the Howl again to get some heat and eat some breakfast. After all of that, and even getting the drone in the air, this guy was still hogging the pedestal. Other photographers were getting anxious and lining up for their turn for the shot, but he ignored the crowd and kept shooting rapid-fire shots as if the sunrise was going to run away from both cameras. I have to say, this guy really got under my skin. What would you do in this situation? Myself, I politely asked if he was almost done, and he immediately fought back, saying not remotely. Then I said, well, you've had this spot since 4 a.m. It is probably time to give somebody else a turn. He threw a fit and he said, well, I was here first, to which I said, no, buddy, I was. See my Jeep parked here? I was clearly here first. He made a few more excuses, and ultimately, I walked away. It's a losing battle with people like this. I've learned that from years of YouTube comments. So I enjoyed the sunrise from the other side of the cliff and was thrilled to have a spot all to myself. Talk about a really weird scenario.
It's safe to say that it is a very busy morning here at Moonscapes. I even had one really grumpy photographer. He came into my camp last night, right by the truck, probably 4 in the morning. Had a big DeWalt light, flashed it at the tent and stuff. He was doing light painting, and I get that as a photographer, cool, but like, should have came over while we had the campfire last night, told us, hey, I'm gonna be in your camp, cool. And then this morning, he hogged the space. So if you're a photographer and you're out here on BLM land and you see a crowd of photographers, maybe give way a little bit. You don't have to own the space. We're all here to shoot the same stuff. You know, respect the land, respect each other. He left gaff tape out here on the rock where he had his tripod set up. I don't know. Not the best way to start my morning, so I got to get over it. I'm gonna make some breakfast and stuff. But if you're out here doing this stuff, be respectful. The people out here are all kind of like-minded people. We enjoy this stuff. We all like to create and, you know, capture the beauty of what's out here. You know, let's play on the same team, right? So anyway, that's behind us. Time to eat something.
Finally, after the sun was way up in the sky and that guy had left, it was my turn to head out and get my time on the pedestal. While I was packing up, my wife sent me a text message, because I randomly got service, that she wasn't feeling too great. And so it was time to get the wheels rolling again and get home to her.
Just heard from the wife. She's asked that I make my way home. So I was going to continue on with Rob. I think they're planning a trip through the rest of southern Utah all the way over to southeastern Utah. So if you want to see that, go follow Revere Overland. What can I say? You get the call, you answer. So I'm gonna get packed up, and Joe and I, my Patreon patron who joined us, we're gonna get the heck out of here and make our way back to Salt Lake. So, all right, let's pack up.
Before we end the trip, I want to say that this video format of my Local Lander episodes is highly inspired by the woodworking videos that I get sucked into watching, and Cam at Blacktail Studios encourages those who get to the end of his videos to comment with a secret phrase. So this is something I'm going to adopt. So, if you've made it here to the end of the video and you want to leave a comment, start your comment with 4 a.m. photographer here, and I'll make sure to respond to you.
Okay, there we go. We're all packed up. Let's say some farewells. Danny? What you doing? Thirsty truck?
Yeah, just using up some of the leftover fuel.
Smart idea.
Yeah, might as well not carry it all the way there if I don't need it.
Well, I'm out.
Later, dude.
I like you.
Should we all just, I'm gonna be out of here as soon as this dumps.
Well, my wife called me, so I'm getting gone.
Cool.
But
All right.
goodbye. Well, this is Rob. So the rest of the trip that I was about to do, he's gonna publish that. So go follow Revere Overland.
Yes, come join us.
Go join him.
Until next time, wait, it's too soon. What's the rest?
Too soon.
Okay.
It's too soon.
Run me through it.
So you start with, if you liked the video,
like the video. If you have a question, leave me a comment. And if you want to hang out again,
I'm Justin B. McBride.
make sure to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Justin B. McBride. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you want more adventure, there's this video for you right here. And if you have not yet hit the subscribe button, please do. I am trying to hit 100,000 subscribers as soon as possible. I would say before the end of the year, but the only way I can do that is with your help. So please hit subscribe, share this video, and catch you in that one.